Welcome to Speak English Podcast with Rory and Alex.
I want to start today with a specific kind of torture that I think a lot of people listening right now will know intimately.
Okay.
It's not physical pain exactly. It's psychological. It's that tension between the version of yourself in your head, the one who runs a side hustle, speaks fluent Italian.
Right, and trains for half marathons.
That one.
Yeah.
And then there's the version of yourself that is, currently horizontal.
The classic ambitious but lazy paradox.
That is the one. You have the vision, you have the desire, you are, by all definitions, an ambitious person, but physically. You're on the couch, doom scrolling through social media, and have been for the last, 2 hours.
And that usually comes with a heavy side dish of guilt.
Oh, massive guilt. You feel paralyzed. And the label we slap on this state is lazy.
Yeah.
We treat it like it's a moral failing, like a character flaw. But looking at the stack of research we have for today, which spans psychology, linguistics, behavioral science, that label isn't just mean.
It's scientifically inaccurate.
It's wrong.
It is a total misdiagnosis. And that is really the mission for this deep dive. We aren't here to, yell at you to work harder.
Oh, yeah.
We aren't here to shame you into productivity. We're looking at the mechanics of why we get stuck, the surprising role that language plays, and then we have a very specific tactical toolkit to get the gears moving again.
So let's start with the diagnosis. Because if I'm on the couch for 3 hours when I know I have a deadline, and it's not laziness, what is it?
Right.
Because it certainly feels like I'm just being lazy.
It feels that way because lazy is the catch-all term we use for inaction. But the sources suggest that laziness is almost always a mask.
A mask.
It's a surface-level symptom protecting you from something deeper. When you strip it away, you usually find one of 3 distinct emotional blockers: fear, overwhelm, or perfectionism.
Okay, let's parse those out.
Oh.
Because fear seems like a heavy word.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm avoiding the dishes, I don't feel afraid of the sink.
Not consciously, no, you're not, shaking in your boots. But we have to look at how the brain processes threat. There's a concept in the literature called limbic friction.
Limbic friction. Okay, break that down.
So your limbic system, that's the emotional, sort of survival-oriented part of your brain.
The fight or flight part.
Exactly. And it perceives a threat. Now, with a big project, like writing a book, the threat is obvious. It's failure. What if I try and I'm not good enough?
Sure.
But even with small tasks, the threat can be discomfort, boredom, or just the loss of your autonomy.
So the brain registers the boring Excel spreadsheet as pain or unsafe, and it triggers a freeze response.
Bingo. It's a defense mechanism. Procrastination isn't about being broken. It's your brain trying to protect you from negative emotions. If you don't write the book, you can't write a bad book. If you don't start the diet, you can't fail the diet. It is biologically safer to just stay on the couch.
That puts a whole new spin on it. My brain thinks it's saving me from a saber-toothed tiger, but the tiger is just my tax return.
Exactly. It's an evolutionary mismatch. And this leads right into the second blocker, overwhelm.
Okay.
I think this connects deeply to how we set our goals. We tend to frame things in these huge abstract terms. I want to be successful. I want to get fit.
Right. We think big picture. Why is that a problem?
Because the brain hates ambiguity. The sources on neural processing show that when a goal is vague, the brain's executive function, the part that plans and gets things done, it can't visualize the first step.
It just stalls.
It short circuits. Get fit isn't a task, it's a destination.
Right.
And you can't do a destination.
It's like telling someone, go north. Okay, but do I walk? Do I drive? Where exactly am I even going?
So you freeze, you end up doing nothing because you don't know the specific physical action required to start. And then, completing the triad, you have perfectionism.
The all or nothing mentality. I think a lot of us really struggle with this one.
The source material highlights this as a major productivity killer. It's the belief that if you can't do it perfectly, it's not worth doing at all.
I only have 20 minutes, not a full hour, so it just won't work out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It turns the barrier to entry into this 10-foot wall.
It's fascinating how these 3 things, fear, overwhelm, perfectionism, just conspire to create this sensation of being stuck. And the natural reaction to being stuck is to criticize ourselves. We say, I'm so lazy, I'm a procrastinator.
Yeah.
And that is where the trap snaps shut. This brings us to the second pillar of our research today, the linguistics of identity.
This part really caught my attention, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
Is this just positive thinking stuff? Like if I just tell myself I'm productive, magically I'll become productive. It sounds a little soft.
I get that reaction, but it's actually rooted in behavioral psychology. It's not about magic. It's about identity alignment.
Okay.
Humans have an incredibly strong psychological drive to act in accordance with how they view themselves. If you walk around telling yourself and others, I am a lazy person, your brain will subconsciously look for ways to validate that statement. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm lazy, so of course I'm sitting here eating chips.
It creates cognitive consistency. You're signaling to your brain that lazy is a fixed trait, like your height or eye color.
Right.
The sources suggest a crucial pivot here, moving from fixed mindset language to growth mindset language.
So instead of I am lazy, what should we be saying? How do we reframe it without lying to ourselves?
It's about accuracy, not lying. I am lazy is a definitive judgment. A more accurate, growth-oriented phrase would be, I am currently struggling with consistency.
Okay, that feels more true.
Or even better, I am becoming someone who takes action.
I am becoming. That implies a process. It implies the current state isn't permanent.
It creates a bridge. When you say, I am becoming disciplined, every small action you take is evidence for that new identity.
You're proving the thesis right.
Right. But if you say, I am lazy, every productive action you take creates cognitive dissonance. Why am I working out? I'm a lazy person. Your brain will actually try to sabotage you to get back to its baseline identity.
That is wild to think about. We literally talk ourselves out of change just to preserve our ego's definition of who we are.
Precisely. So the first step isn't physical, it's linguistic. Stop identifying with the behavior you want to change.
Okay, so we've relabeled the problem. It's not laziness, it's fear or overwhelm. We're rewriting our identity. But we still have to physically get off the couch. We need to move.
We do. And this leads to the philosophy of movement. There's a metaphor in the reading that I think is the centerpiece of this entire discussion.
Which one?
You cannot steer a parked car.
I love this image. It's so simple, but it addresses that analysis paralysis we talked about earlier.
Think about how often we wait for the perfect plan. We want to map out the entire route before we even turn the ignition.
Yeah.
But in physics and in psychology, you need momentum to have direction. If you're stationary, you can turn the steering wheel all you want. You're not going anywhere.
And the sources make a strong point here about feedback. If I'm just sitting around thinking about writing a book, I'm not learning anything about writing.
You're just fantasizing.
Right.
Action generates data. This is a crucial concept. Done is better than perfect isn't just a catchy slogan, it's a strategy for data acquisition. If you write a terrible first chapter, you have data. You can see why it's terrible and fix it. If you write nothing, you have zero data, as one source put it. There is no such thing as failure, only feedback.
But to get that feedback, you have to overcome that initial static friction. The car is heavy. Pushing it from a dead stop is the hardest part.
That is the perfect segue into our toolkit. We've covered the theory. Now we need the tactics to overcome that friction. The sources provide 4 distinct strategies, starting with micro-goals.
And this is best illustrated by the case study of Sarah. Walk us through that, because I think a lot of listeners will see themselves in her story.
So Sarah fits the classic profile. Ambitious, creative, wanted to write a novel for years.
Okay.
But she worked a full-time job and was always too busy. She kept waiting for these magical 4-hour blocks of time to just appear in her schedule.
Which never happened. Life doesn't just hand you 4 empty hours.
Never. She was paralyzed by the size of the task.
Yeah.
So the intervention was radical. She was challenged to write for 5 minutes a day. That's it.
I mean, 5 minutes, it almost sounds insulting, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds tiny.
Like, what can you even do in 5 minutes? You're not going to write a book.
You can't finish it in 5 minutes, but you can start it. The genius of the 5-minute goal is that it lowers the activation energy. If the goal is write chapter 1, the fear center of your brain lights up. It's too big, too scary. If the goal is write for 5 minutes, the brain says, oh, I can do that while my coffee brews.
It bypasses the fear response completely.
And here's what happened to Sarah, and what happens to almost everyone who tries this. She would sit down for her 5 minutes, but once she started, once the car was moving, she usually kept going for 20 or 30 minutes. The hard part wasn't the writing, the hard part was the starting.
Momentum took over. And the result?
6 months later, she had a completed rough draft. Not because she found more time, but because she lowered the barrier to entry so low she couldn't say no.
I think that's the key takeaway.
Yeah.
Intensity is overrated. Consistency is king. Okay, strategy 2. This one is for the clutter, the little things that pile up, the 2-minute rule.
This is like a hygiene rule for your life. The concept is simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do not put it on a to-do list. Do not plan it.
Just do it.
Do it immediately.
So we're talking about taking out the trash, replying to that one email, putting a dish in the dishwasher.
Yes. The reason this works is something called cognitive load. Every undone task you look at is like a browser tab open in your brain.
It just drains your battery.
It does.
Yeah.
By doing the small things instantly, you close the tabs, you keep your mental RAM clear for the big work.
Plus, it reinforces that identity we talked about. You're proving to yourself continuously that you are a person who takes action.
You're keeping the engine running warm. Exactly. Now, strategy 3 addresses the fact that sometimes we are our own worst enemy.
Environment design.
Environment design.
This is one of my favorites because it requires zero willpower once you set it up.
That's the point. It's about admitting that willpower is a limited resource. Do not fight a fair fight against your distractions.
Right.
Your smartphone has thousands of engineers whose job it is to keep you scrolling. You will not win that battle on willpower alone. You have to rig the game.
Rig the game. I like that.
It's about friction. You want to increase friction for bad habits and decrease it for good habits. If you want to play guitar, don't keep it in the case in the closet.
Too many steps.
3 steps of friction. Put it on a stand in the middle of the living room.
And conversely, if you're doom scrolling, put the phone in another wide.
Or delete the app. Make it annoying to access the bad habit. The reading calls this decision architecture. You want to make the good choice the lazy choice.
That is smart. Make it so easy to do the right thing that you do it by default. Okay, finally, strategy 4. Accountability and reward.
We are social creatures. If I tell myself I'm going to run, I can cancel on myself easily.
All the time.
If I tell you I'm going to meet you at the park at 7 a.m., the social cost of flaking is much higher.
And the reward part. This links back to the biology, right?
You need to close the dopamine loop. When you finish your 5 minutes of writing, celebrate it. Acknowledge it. It sounds silly, but saying I did it releases dopamine. It teaches your brain that effort feels good. If you only focus on how far you have left to go, you're training your brain that effort feels like failure.
So we have the toolkit, micro goals, the 2-minute rule, environment design, accountability. But I want to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
We can have all these tools, but we're human. We are going to have bad days. We're going to fall off the wagon.
The maintenance phase. This is where most people quit permanently. It's what researchers call the what the hell effect.
The I ate one cookie, so I might as well eat the whole box syndrome.
Exactly. You miss one day of writing, you feel guilty, and you think, well, the streak is broken. I guess I'm back to square one. The sources are very counterintuitive here. They suggest the antidote to this is self-compassion.
Now, I have to stop you there because I know what people are thinking. Doesn't self-compassion sound a bit soft?
Right.
If I'm nice to myself when I fail, won't that just make me lazier? Don't I need to be strict to get back on track?
That is the common intuition, but the data says the opposite. There was a fascinating study from Carleton University on students and procrastination.
Okay.
They found that students who forgave themselves for procrastinating on the first exam actually studied more for the second exam.
Wait, really? Why would forgiving themselves make them work harder?
Because procrastination is a stress response. Remember, it's about fear and overwhelm.
Okay.
Guilt is a form of stress. If you beat yourself up, you are adding more stress to the system, which triggers more desire to procrastinate to relieve that stress. It's a vicious cycle.
So by forgiving yourself, you reduce the stress, which actually reduces the need to procrastinate.
Exactly. You stop the spiral. Instead of saying, I'm a failure, you say, today was hard, I'm human, tomorrow is a new day.
And you combine that with what the sources call the detective mindset. Right?
Yes. Instead of a judge, be a detective. Don't ask what's wrong with me. Ask what happened. Was I tired? Was the goal too vague? Was my phone too close?
You look for the mechanical failure, not the moral failure.
You fix the system. If you realize you always skip your workout after work because you're hungry, bring a snack. That is a solvable problem. I'm lazy is an unsolvable problem.
It really comes down to consistency versus perfection.
Yeah.
One bad day is just data.
It doesn't erase the progress you made the week before.
Yeah.
The goal isn't to never fall down. The goal is to shorten the time it takes to get back up.
So let's bring this deep dive home. We started with the ambitious but lazy paradox. We learned that lazy is just a mask for limbic friction, fear, overwhelm, perfectionism.
We learned that language matters. We need to stop identifying as lazy and start identifying as becoming consistent. We have to stop fighting our own brains.
We talked about the parked car, how you need movement to steer, and how action creates feedback. We built a toolkit with Sarah's microsecs, the 2-minute rule, and rigging our environment.
And finally, when you stumble, don't beat yourself up. Be a detective, forgive yourself, and reset.
You are not broken. You are just a human being dealing with a brain designed for survival, trying to thrive in a modern world.
Yeah.
The capacity to change is always there.
It's just waiting for that first bit of friction to be overcome.
So we want to leave you with a challenge, a provocation to test this out immediately. We talked about the 2-minute rule.
We did.
Here is the challenge. The moment this audio ends, literally the second the silence hits, do not open another podcast. Do not check Instagram. Pick one tiny thing you have been putting off. Maybe it's sending that one text, putting that one dish in the dishwasher, or just opening the document.
Just one thing. Start steering the car.
Don't think, just do. Thanks for diving in with us. Now go make it happen.